The 2024 monsoon season will forever be etched in Nepal's memory. From September 26th to 28th, torrential rain saturated the mountainous terrain. This was no ordinary monsoon. It was a deluge of unprecedented proportions. The rain set off a chain reaction, transforming the land into a cascade of mud and debris. The tranquil slopes of the Himalayas morphed into a terrifying spectacle of nature's raw power. The deluge caught many off guard. The sheer volume of water overwhelmed rivers and streams, causing them to breach their banks. The relentless rain also saturated the soil, weakening it and making it susceptible to landslides. Villages nestled precariously on hillsides were at the greatest risk. Landslides, some small and localized, others massive and devastating, ripped through the landscape. Homes were buried, roads disappeared under tons of earth, and communication lines were severed. The once familiar terrain was transformed into an unrecognizable morass of mud and debris. The scale of the disaster was immense, leaving a trail of destruction and heartbreak in its wake. The immediate aftermath of the landslides painted a grim picture. The official death toll stood at 217, with 28 still unaccounted for. Hundreds were injured, many requiring urgent medical attention. Behind each statistic lies a shattered life and a grieving family. The landslides inflicted significant material damage. Roads and bridges were washed away, hindering access to essential supplies. The agricultural sector suffered a severe blow, with crops destroyed and livestock perished. The road to recovery for these areas will be long and arduous. While the impact of the landslides was felt across Nepal, certain regions bore the brunt of the disaster's fury. The Kathmandu Valley, home to the nation's capital and a densely populated area, experienced a cluster of landslides that brought the city to a standstill. The chaotic scenes of flooded streets, collapsed buildings, and desperate rescue efforts became emblematic of the disaster's scale. Eastern Nepal, with its steep slopes and heavy rainfall, also witnessed a significant number of landslide events. Districts like Dhading and Dolakha, located on the outskirts of the Kathmandu Valley, were particularly hard hit. These districts, characterized by their rugged terrain and remote villages, faced immense challenges in terms of rescue and relief operations. Reaching these isolated communities became a race against time, as every passing hour diminished the chances of finding survivors. The landslides exposed the vulnerability of communities living in hazard-prone areas. Many of the affected villages were situated on steep slopes, their locations dictated by limited land availability and economic constraints. The lack of adequate infrastructure and early warning systems further compounded the risks. The disaster served as a stark reminder of the need for sustainable development practices and disaster preparedness measures, particularly in regions susceptible to natural hazards. Amidst the widespread devastation, the landslide at Jiaplakola in Dhading district stood out for its sheer horror. Two buses carrying passengers along the Prithvi highway were caught in the path of a massive landslide that roared down the mountainside. The unsuspecting commuters had little chance to react as tons of earth and debris engulfed the vehicles, burying them under a mountain of mud. The Jiaplakola landslide claimed the lives of 35 people, making it the deadliest single incident in the entire disaster. The tragedy sent shockwaves through the nation, highlighting the dangers posed by landslides along Nepal's mountainous roads. Investigations into the incident pointed to a combination of factors, including heavy rainfall, unstable slopes, and possibly inadequate road construction practices, as contributing to the disaster. The Jiaplakola tragedy served as a grim reminder of the need for stringent safety measures and responsible infrastructure development in landslide-prone areas. It underscored the importance of thorough geological assessments, proper drainage systems, and regular maintenance of roads and highways traversing mountainous terrain. The incident also highlighted the need for public awareness campaigns to educate communities about the risks associated with landslides and the importance of heeding weather warnings. Section 5. A race against time, rescue and relief efforts. As the scale of the disaster became apparent, a massive rescue and relief operation swung into action. The Nepali government deployed over 5,000 personnel from the Nepal Police and Armed Police Force to the affected areas. These first responders worked tirelessly, often in treacherous conditions, to locate survivors, extricate them from the debris, and provide immediate medical assistance. Helicopters played a crucial role in reaching remote communities cut off by road closures. They ferried medical teams, essential supplies, and rescue equipment to areas inaccessible by land. Rafts were deployed to navigate flooded rivers, while ropes and human chains were used to move people and supplies across treacherous terrain. The international community also responded swiftly, providing aid in the form of financial assistance, search and rescue expertise, and medical supplies. The rescue and relief efforts were hampered by a number of factors, including ongoing rainfall, damaged infrastructure, and the remote location of some affected communities. Communication breakdowns further complicated coordination efforts. Despite these challenges, the determination and resilience of the first responders, volunteers, and affected communities shone through. Stories of courage and compassion emerged from the disaster zone, offering a glimmer of hope amidst the devastation. Section 6: Broken links, infrastructure in ruins. The landslides left a trail of destruction across Nepal's infrastructure network. Hundreds of homes were damaged or destroyed, rendering thousands of people homeless. Bridges were swept away, roads were buried under landslides, and communication lines were severed. The damage to transportation infrastructure had a crippling effect on the country's ability to respond effectively to the disaster. The Prithvi Highway, a vital artery connecting Kathmandu to other parts of the country, suffered significant damage, particularly in the Dading and Dholaka districts. The highway's closure disrupted the flow of essential goods and services, causing shortages and price hikes. The landslides also impacted the country's power grid, with 16 hydropower projects suffering damage. The disruption to power generation led to widespread power outages, forcing Nepal to import electricity from India to meet its energy demands. Internet services were also disrupted in many areas due to damage to fiber optic cables. The destruction of infrastructure not only hampered immediate rescue and relief efforts, but also posed significant challenges for the long-term recovery and reconstruction process. Section 7: A changing climate, a growing threat. The 2024 Nepal landslides, while directly triggered by heavy monsoon rains, also underscored the growing threat posed by climate change. Scientists have warned that climate change is likely to increase the frequency and intensity of extreme weather events, including heavy rainfall. This is particularly concerning for countries like Nepal, which are highly vulnerable to climate-related hazards. The Himalayas, often referred to as the third pole, are warming at a faster rate than the global average. This warming is accelerating the melting of glaciers, leading to the formation of glacial lakes that can burst their banks, causing catastrophic floods. The increased rainfall, coupled with melting glaciers, is saturating the soil, making it more susceptible to landslides. The 2024 landslides serve as a stark reminder of the urgent need for climate action. Reducing greenhouse gas emissions, investing in climate-resilient infrastructure, and implementing early warning systems are crucial steps in mitigating the risks posed by climate change. Addressing the root causes of climate change is essential for protecting vulnerable communities and ensuring a sustainable future. Section 8: In the face of adversity, stories of resilience. Amidst the tragedy, stories of human resilience and compassion emerged. Communities rallied together, sharing food, shelter, and support. First responders risked their lives to save others. Volunteers from across the country offered their time and resources. Young students from Kathmandu assisted in cleanup and relief. A local woman in Dholaka provided free meals to rescue workers. These acts of kindness offered hope and demonstrated the spirit of the Nepali people. The resilience of the affected communities was remarkable. Despite their losses, they displayed extraordinary strength and determination. Their resilience inspired the nation and showcased the power of the human spirit. Section 9: Picking up the pieces, the long road to recovery. As the immediate crisis subsided, the long and arduous task of recovery and reconstruction began. The Nepali government, with support from international organizations and donor agencies, launched a massive effort to rebuild damaged infrastructure, provide shelter for displaced families, and restore essential services. The recovery process focused on rebuilding homes, schools, hospitals, and other critical infrastructure. Emphasis was placed on using sustainable building practices and incorporating disaster risk reduction measures to enhance resilience against future events. The government also launched programs to provide financial assistance to affected families, restore livelihoods, and revive the agriculture sector. The road to recovery promised to be long and challenging. The scale of the devastation was immense, and the resources available were limited. However, the Nepali people, known for their resilience and determination, were committed to rebuilding their lives and communities. The international community also pledged its continued support, recognizing the need for sustained assistance in the years to come.